Hello and welcome to the Do Your Dharma podcast. I'm your host, Aloise.life, and I'm welcoming you back to the Do Your Dharma podcast after a 3-year break. A lot has changed, but the heart of this podcast is still the same. You may remember that the purpose of the Do Your Dharma podcast was that I interviewed people who were doing their Dharma and living their purpose to inspire you to do yours. Now, that hasn't changed. I'm still going to be interviewing some incredible people. I'm going to be interviewing some ex-students. I'm going to be interviewing some interesting people who have moved from their day jobs, their 3D day jobs, into their 5D purpose. Now, why do we want to do this? Basically, when we do our Dharma, we vibrate at a higher level. And remember, this is a vibrational game that we are playing. When we're in our purpose, we are stronger, we're happier, we're healthier, we live longer, we have a deep sense of unshakable inner peace. And we literally move up the emotional vibrational scale. So really, to survive everything that is going on in the world right now, we do have to be in our purpose. And this podcast will show you how to move from your 3D life into your 5D purpose. Following your highest excitement to the best of your ability with no expectation on the outcome is the name of the game. And I will be interviewing people to show you how to do this. Also, for my return, I am doing a breakdown to breakthrough mini series. Where I had my spiritual breakdown over the course of the last 3 years, I am going to interview people who have gone through and had breakdowns in their lives. Quite severe breakdowns in their lives where they've had to piece their life back together to show you and empower you that really humans can come through anything. And I've got some amazing people that I'm interviewing. I just interviewed Dr. Arne Heiselman, who that interview has gone out. So if you want to listen to it, you can. Breakdown to breakthrough. He had a Kundalini awakening, which basically caused a breakdown in his life. And he changed his life from being a pharmaceutical representative and executive to being an energy healer. So this is a quite dramatic transformation that you can make. Now, I was in my purpose before I went through my spiritual breakdown. So this is my rebirth. I'm looking at this as my rebirth, and I'm thanking you so much for being on the journey with me. So any suggestions of people you want me to interview, please let me know. As I said, 2 forms of interview. Do Your Dharma interviews where people are finding and following their purpose, which is the name of the game. As I said, to survive in this day and age, we really need to be in our purpose, loving life, doing the best we can, living at a higher level, higher vibrational state. The other form of interview is breakdown to breakthrough. People who have gone through crises or big breakdowns in their life. Really, I truly believe that every life is happening for us, not to us. So there will be gifts in these breakdowns, and that's what we're going to be interviewing. So welcome back. Lovely to be here. Please go and follow me on Instagram or comment on Instagram. It really helps. I've kind of lost my audience over the course of the last 3 years, so I'm really keen to get it back. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram under Aloise.life. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple iTunes. So please go and follow me on those platforms. And if possible, basically leave a comment on Instagram. It really does help. So thank you and welcome back. And I look forward to being with you on the journey over the course of the next coming weeks and months. So hello and welcome to the Dharma Life podcast. Today I have with me a wonderful lady who's just been sharing her story, and I got goosebumps because it's an incredible journey. She's not only doing her Dharma, she's also had a huge breakdown to break through. And we're going to be talking to the lovely Gabby Mottershead. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And Gabby is a cancer recovery coach. So you help people who are going through what you've gone through effectively.
That's right. Yeah, it is. More so after treatment finishes, because that's when I really struggled. I felt very alone after my cancer treatment had finished.
So would you be kind enough, take us back, Gabby, to sort of the life that you were living? You were describing that you had kind of not the most healthy childhood.
That's true. Yeah. So I had a quite a difficult childhood. Um, Long story short, I ended up being in care when I was 15. I got pregnant when I was 15. I had a baby just age 16. I kept my son on, even though I was under a lot of pressure to have him adopted. I was uh, the victim of domestic violence. I'd come from quite a violent background as well. And then the relationship I was in was quite violent. I escaped from that. Luckily, I had relatives in Manchester I could escape to. And when I was 18, I met Paul, who's still my husband now. So we're still together and we had another son. And so, really, from a practical point of view, when I met him, we wanted to buy our own house, which was unheard of in my family. So I got a job randomly in a finance company doing finance, and I was really good at it. So for many years, I worked really hard. I studied part-time, and I ended up at the age of 40 with an MBA with finance qualifications being the director of a big company. And I thought, cracked it, winning at life. This is what it's all about. Got a nice car, driving a BMW, had a big salary, had a huge team. I was managing 110 people. And that really gave me status. It made me feel like I was somebody.
Self-worth.
And then what for, yeah, of worth, exactly. I was looking for my worth and I didn't realize at the time, but I was. Although it looked successful on the outside, inside, I was so insecure. I was so stressed. I didn't look after myself. I was always working 100 miles an hour, worked very, very long hours. My family really didn't see very much of me. And then shortly after I was 40, I got made redundant. And then at the age of 44, I was diagnosed with a very rare and aggressive type of breast cancer, inflammatory breast cancer. And I did what you're not supposed to do. And I did Dr. Google and I realized that the prognosis was really not good at all. But I was at a wonderful hospital, the Christie in Manchester, and I had chemotherapy. Then I had a mastectomy. Then I had radiotherapy, and then I had a reconstruction. That all in all took about 2 years to go through. And I was determined to get through that and just get back to my old life as soon as I could. But actually, I did a lot of reflecting, going through that process, thinking, I was been so stressed. The year before my diagnosis, I had a very stressful year at home and at work. My father-in-law had died. I'd been bullied at work. Um, and I was really doing a lot of reflecting, thinking maybe the way I was living has caused this. I was searching for answers all the time. And I did think, and I hear this all the time, yes, it plays a huge part in illness. I really believe that now. I wanted to be or inflammatory breast cancer has a very high recurrence rate. So I wanted to do everything that I could to stop it coming back. If that meant managing my stress, changing my nutrition, changing the way that I was living, that's what I wanted to do. I was desperate for answers. And I really thought the way I've been living is not how we're supposed to be living. Eating ready meals and coming home and drinking a bottle of wine to unwind. And that's the way I've been living for years, as if that was normal, because I know so many people do. And so I went on a real healing journey, if you like. I saw therapists, um, I went for coach. I was with a coach who helped me to work through the feeling of feeling unworthy. I'd lost all my, felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. And so I was kind of grieving for my old life. It's very akin really to a grieving process where I felt like part of me had died. The person that I thought I was, she'd gone and she wasn't coming back. And then I thought, do I really want her to come back in that form? But if she doesn't, then who even am I? And that was a difficult couple of years, really.
And how long did I was going to say, how long did this process take for you to kind of have these? Because it sounds like you had a series of epiphanies almost.
Absolutely, yeah. It was 2 or 3 years, I think. I mean, one of the big things was when I first diagnosed, my second appointment with my oncologist, I had a huge list of questions for him. And one of them was, well, what should I be eating? And he just looked at me and said, oh, it doesn't matter what you eat.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, he's the expert. I'm not, but that doesn't sound right to me. So even though we've got the amazing NHS, I paid privately to go and see a nutritionist. And I set off on that journey of thinking, you are what you eat. But then I also started thinking, well, maybe you are what you think as well, and you are what you believe. And I think there's a lot about beliefs and about changing your mindset to think that this is not in the lap of the gods. I wanted to empower myself to be able to make changes. And that sounds all great, but it took me a while to get through that. And I made some mistakes. And that's why I do the work that I do now, is to help people get there a lot quicker than I did. Doesn't have to be so long and drawn out.
Yeah, and I do believe that each part of the body is telling us a different thing. So, for example, breast cancer is all about giving too much to other people, not giving enough.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've heard that before.
Absolutely. I love the work of Louise Hay.
Yes.
So I think one of the big sort of seminal moments for me was reading her book, You Can Heal Your Life, because that really, I remember telling my friend about this book. I was so excited, and she went, "Oh, you mustn't blame yourself." And I thought, I'm not blaming myself for getting ill. I'm taking responsibility. It's a very different thing. It's about thinking cause and effect. This isn't a random event that's happened to me. Maybe I've contributed to this by the way I'm living. And absolutely, so many breast cancer women that I speak to find it very hard to say no to other people. They find it hard to set boundaries. They always put other people first, quite often. It's not 100%, but yeah, I really resonate with that.
Yeah, it's very powerful. There's a book
Mm,
by Deb Shapiro called The Body Speaks Your Mind. She's done some
mm,
like similar to Louise Hay.
yeah.
So it sounds like it was a huge spiritual wake-up call for you, the cancer as such.
Absolutely, it was. It made me sort of reevaluate everything in my life. As I say, I kind of had this idea that I was working so hard for my family and to give them a better life. So we had nice holidays and a nice home, but actually I never saw them and I wasn't enjoying being with them enough. I didn't spend enough, that's one of the things I regret. Can't change it now. As my children were growing up, I was always at work. And so I thought that's not how I want to be.
Mm. So do you think it was a kind of wake up call for you in this kind of sense of, you were living life not in the right way and you weren't necessarily fulfilling your purpose, you were just living life to on the treadmill as such?
Absolutely on the treadmill. That's the perfect phrase for it. And being part of corporate life as well, you're playing a role. Your feelings, your personality, all of those things that you bring to that role don't really matter. Quite often, I loved having a big team. I like coaching my team at work, but I remember being told off by my director once for, "Oh, you're too nice to your team." Really too nice? What is this? What are we trying to do to people here? And it was very much getting everybody to conform and leave their personalities at the doorstep. I mean, that's just an example of one company, but I think it's quite common.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And what influence did the cancer have on your life? Because life must have stopped, I would imagine. Like it sounds to me like it was pretty full on with the chemotherapy and everything else.
Absolutely, it was. And going through cancer treatment, as most people would tell you, it's almost like a full-time job. You have so many appointments, things to, and I remember every time you go for an appointment, they give you a leaflet. And I had this big bag full of leaflets, oh, you're having chemo, here's a leaflet. Oh, you're going for a scan, here's a leaflet about the type of scan that you're having. And it was so much. It was like a full-time job. But also, it's quite reassuring in a way when you have so many appointments and you've got a medical team that are looking after you. When that stops and they say, okay, you're cancer free now, goodbye, we'll see you in 6 months. That's when I fell apart. I was like, well, you're not looking after me. I've not got my weekly appointments anymore. And how am I supposed to carry on now? What do I do? And yeah, that was what I found that the most difficult part was when after the treatment stopped. And I was still going through this process of reassessing everything about my life. And I thought, I don't just want to jump back into my old life. I think that's what made me sick.
That must have been really difficult. So you've almost felt like a big hole, a big chasm in your life. Like, what do
A-
I do next?
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Go back. How did you go about putting your life back together?
It was difficult, and as I said, I made a few mistakes and went round and round in circles. I thought I'd train to be a counsellor, or I might train to be a coach, and I did training for that, and it was good. But being self-employed as a coach is not as easy as you might think it to be. There's all the things that go with it, the marketing and finding clients and things like that. Plus, as well, I did have people approaching me who had no money. One of the big burdens of cancer treatment is quite often people are financially devastated, losing a good job and then ending up in benefits. I speak to quite a lot of people in America, and it's quite scary. They have to pay for their treatment. A lot of people go bankrupt because of their treatments. And so I was really working through that of, can I really make a business out of this, or do I want to make a business out of this? And so for a while, I had a foot, in both camps. I was doing contracting work in finance after I felt well enough to go back to work, which was great because I'd really shifted my mindset from being an employee who had to toe the line to being actually, I'm a self-employed person in my own bubble. I will come in and fix your problem and then I'll move on. Although that's quite draining because they always only call consultants in when there's a big problem to fix. My mind shift helped me get through that.
Well, you're kind of ticking both boxes then, aren't you? You've got money
Yeah,
coming in from that
yeah.
means, but you're also living your purpose and doing your dharma.
Exactly right. Yeah. And this is working with my clients now that I've got my cancer support work that I do is not like work. It fills me up. I feed off my clients. I love seeing them flourish. I love seeing them getting results. And I think from them, they see me as, oh my God, somebody who understands.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think we're not taught, are we, when we go to school? We're taught to get a job. We're taught the job for life. And
Yeah,
we're taught that we evolve when we grow, and actually our purpose is kind of the sum of everything we've ever done before.
absolutely.
Like you said,
Yeah.
we can give back through our purpose as well. So now
Yeah.
you're in a really lovely position where you're ticking both boxes by the sounds of things.
It is. Yeah. And it's a great place to be. Yeah. I feel very fortunate. And yeah, I wouldn't say cancer is a gift because obviously, if I could choose, I would not have had it. But the lessons that the lessons that I learned within that were a gift. It's what I needed to learn. And they say sometimes, if you don't listen to a whisper, it becomes a roar. And
Yes.
so maybe over the years, I'd had little warning signs that things were not as they should be, or I wasn't as happy as I should be. But I kind of suppressed that. But it took the whole blowing up into you've got cancer, you might die to think I've got to do something different here.
You said you found out who your friends were as well.
Mm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
really.
It was beautiful how some people just absolutely stepped up without even asking, turning up at my house with a pan of homemade soup or just turning up with food or just being there for me. Yeah, that was wonderful. But I did find out who my friends were. So some of my close friends became even closer and more cherished, and other people just drifted away. And I think that's quite common as well.
Yeah, I think some people can't handle the big C. People don't know how to
Yeah.
talk about it, react to it. So they kind of bury their head in the sand, which is such a shame in this day and age that we can't
Oh,
have sort of free and open conversations around it.
it is, and yeah, it's difficult.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult.
Mm.
So how long did that whole process take you? Because obviously you sound very what's the word I'm looking for? Balanced now. You sound kind of like you've sorted it all out in your own head. And I think that's half the battle, isn't it? But that's the job that you're going to help, I presume, speed up for other people.
Exactly right. As I say, it probably took me 2 to 3 years, which was far too long. But I think I made quite a few mistakes, and I was
Quick.
following, I followed a few different people, tried different things. But now that helped me build up this sort of toolkit that I've got for coaching because we're all different. And I always say to my coaching clients, try this, it might work. There's no set prescription of how you get from A to B, but it's understanding yourself. It's like really embracing the person that you were meant to be. And we go through life generally playing different roles, whether it's a wife, a mother, an employee, a daughter, whatever, and suppressing what we really want, suppressing what we really need, suppressing who we are supposed to be. And
Yeah.
society, I mean, it's quite scary now, with social media and the fakeness of what you see quite often online, and people really often feel that that makes them feel inadequate, and it shouldn't be. I'm all about embracing yourself and flaws and all. You are a beautiful person inside. We've all got gifts inside of us.
Yeah, and I think, we have to lean into those passions. We have to do what we're passionate about. That's the key,
Hmm.
isn't it? Like do
It
the things
is.
we love, do the things
Yeah,
we're passionate about, and then mix that with our gifts and talents. And then there in there somewhere is your purpose, basically. Um,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So tell me about the people that you work with now.
So mostly I work with women. It's just where that's the way it's panned out. I don't particularly say I only work with women, but that's who I seem to attract. Women who have finished cancer treatment. So, I'm not here to give anybody medical advice. I'm not qualified. However, my lived experience and my coaching toolkit that I've got will help anybody when they finish cancer treatment and is really sort of at a bit of a crossroads thinking, do I need to change something in my life? What do I do to stop the constant fear a lot of cancer patients have of the cancer coming back. And I've been in quite a few online groups as well where people will make a throwaway comment like, oh, well, it always comes back. Well, for one, that's not true. And secondly, who wants to live in fear?
Mm,
But oh, it's an understandable fear, and people get scanxiety, they call it, the anxiety of going for scans, because going back to the hospital is quite a scary thing for a lot of cancer patients. So I help people with that, overcoming the fear of recurrence, overcoming the fear of scanxiety, but also finding their Dharma as well, thinking about, well, what is it you want to do with your life? We
yes.
all kind of think we don't have a lot of choices, but when you strip it back, and especially after a major event like that, this is your chance now to really embrace your next chapter and think, well, what do you want it to look like? And
Yeah.
that's what I help people do. Yeah.
And I think, like we said before, we are being spoken to by the type of cancer that you've got. And obviously,
Hmm.
it's showing us something, it's telling us something. You have to embrace that and then put it,
Yeah.
go back out into the world, a new version of yourself, when almost like peeling back the layers. And
Yeah.
sounds to me
Absolutely.
like you learnt boundaries as well. And
Huge. That was huge for me, both at work and in personal relationships as well. I was always a people pleaser. I wanted people to like me. It was so important that people didn't take offense at anything that I said, and I would put other people before myself. And now I've learned that what I want is important too, and that's not being arrogant or overbearing. It's actually respecting who I am and what I need. Learning to say no was huge for me.
yeah. So you've basically been redirected onto a really positive path.
That's true. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, well, fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. So, if anyone's listening to this, what advice would you have for somebody who's going through cancer treatment at the moment?
It's first of all, I would say, honor your own feelings. Don't let anybody tell you what you're feeling is not right, because it's what you are feeling. And we're all different. We all go through a different journey. I hate that phrase, but I think it's so overused, but it's so true. We're all on a different journey. Some people will sail through cancer and put it behind them and move on. Other people, like me, or the people that I work with, will actually use it. And I'm not saying cancer is a gift, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but actually to pick out the gifts within it, the lessons that you can learn to actually make your next chapter the best chapter of your life. How can you move forward? How can you really find who you were meant to be before the world and the people around you battered you down and made you fit into a box maybe that you don't really want to fit into anymore? Who are you? What do you want to do? What lights you up?
Yeah, and that must be a bit difficult because I would imagine, like, when you have something like cancer that happens to you, your world it must be like you must go into free fall, I would have thought. Everything kind of just falls apart. Like, why is this happening to me? What have I done? You know,
Yeah, exactly. The constant questioning and then the constant fear. And as I said, the constant fear can really muddle your thinking. Plus, as well, I went through chemically induced menopause, which again adds to your brain fog. So
right.
you're not thinking clearly. So again, it's thinking about, one step at a time, putting one foot in front of the other, but actually thinking about, well, where do you want to get to? Is it, can we let go of the trying to get back to your old life? Because she's gone now, that lady's gone that you were, that life has gone. And let's think about a positive way of what do you want your life to be in the future?
And did you fall into sort of depression of any sort?
Huge, absolutely huge. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I can imagine because it just must be such a shock to the system.
yeah.
And can you tell us how you managed to pull yourself out of that?
Again, it was a process that went. I tried different. I was with different counsellors, some better than others. So the first counsellor I went to, I didn't really gel with, and I was kind of blaming myself. And it may be that I was at the time so angry and so not in a good place to be receptive to counselling. But I found better counsellors as I went along. I remember another episode was to do with my hair. I remember going back to my oncologist and my hair just wasn't growing back. And I was so distraught about this. I had a bit of a meltdown in his office and he sent me to a psychiatrist. And I thought, I don't need a psychiatrist. I just want my hair to grow back. But actually, I had to go through a process. And it was with a coach of accepting that, okay, my hair's not what it used to be, but so what? I'm okay with that now.
Yeah, it must be. But I think you have to sort of slowly pull yourself out of the depression, don't you? Kind of
Yeah.
feeling the emotions, feeling the feelings. Um,
Yeah, I always say to my clients, it's a two-man sport. I can support them. I can give them tips and techniques, But they have to want to do the work. They have to want to change. And that can be really hard when you're depressed, if you've got no energy and you're just feeling that this is all too much. And
Yeah.
so again, practical steps of how can you rebuild your energy, step by step, baby steps, things that you can do with nutrition, with gentle movement, with changing your mindset to really start building up your strength again to actually overcome the depression, which is understandable, but it's not a place you want to stay in forever.
No, and I think it's, it's normal to go there, isn't it, when you have a
Oh
big,
yeah,
big breakdown like that. But
absolutely. Yeah.
feeling those feelings and feeling those emotions is a way of then moving yourself back up the emotional vibrational scale to enable you to then function properly.
Exactly right. Yeah. And you're right. Sometimes things have to break apart before you can build them again. And
Yeah,
maybe that downtime is what you are actually, your subconscious is crying out for. Is just stop. Stop for a little while. What do they say? Stop the world and want to get off. And maybe you need to get off this spinning all your plates just for a little while,
yes,
just so that you can actually get back on and go in the direction you're meant to be going in.
yeah, absolutely. And you alluded to kind of a spiritual belief system or higher power belief system. Can you kind of see why that had to happen now?
Oh, absolutely. I kind of rejected religion as such for a long time because I went to a Catholic school when I was very young, and I always found that quite scary and always making me feel like there was something wrong with me. Going to confession, and the priest, everybody in my family was terrified of the priests. But then actually now thinking about this as spiritual, I definitely have spiritual beliefs. I've got a very good friend who's a Buddhist, and I love the Buddhist philosophy. I wouldn't class myself as a Buddhist, but I love that, again, your Dharma, it's finding your purpose, putting out good into the world. What you put out comes back to you. I really believe that.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, Gabby, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I know that someone listening will be really empowered. And if people want to get hold of you, how can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram, Gabby Motti. My website is confidenceaftercancer.co.uk. Got a YouTube channel as well, Confidence After Cancer, and I have a podcast as well.
Oh, do
That's
you?
Confidence After Cancer. Yeah. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
Fantastic. So fantastic. Oh well, if you want to look up Gabby, please do. If you know somebody who could benefit from her services, then please forward on her details. But we will be with you with another amazing guest next week on the Dharma Life podcast.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful to speak to you.
Lovely to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Dharma Life podcast. I do hope you enjoyed this episode. Please come over and say hello on my Instagram, our Facebook group, and also please let me know what you thought. So if you are listening, please take a screenshot of the podcast that you are listening to. Tag me on Instagram and I will reshare your post, and please let me know what it is that you got out of today's episode. Remember, when we do our Dharma, we are happier, healthier, we live longer, and we have a deep sense of unshakable inner peace.